Did you know the average family throws away over $1,500 worth of expired food every single year? That's like tossing cash straight into the trash. But what if I told you there are certain foods that never expire? Today, I'm revealing 30 powerhouse foods that can last a lifetime, and stocking them up could save your family thousands while keeping you ready for anything. And here's the kicker, you probably already have the very first one sitting in your kitchen right now. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe, because once you see this list, you'll never look at your pantry the same way again. Let's kick things off with one of the most underrated survival champions, white rice. Civilizations have relied on it for more than 5,000 years, and for good reason. A 2024 study from the International Rice Research Institute confirmed that properly stored white rice can literally outlast you. That's not an exaggeration, it's science. Unlike brown rice, it doesn't have the oily bran layer that spoils over time, making it one of nature's ultimate shelf-stable foods. In fact, archaeologists discovered perfectly preserved rice in ancient Chinese tombs, still safe to eat centuries later. But here's the secret most people miss. Storage is everything. Forget those flimsy store bags. You'll need airtight containers, and for extra protection, toss in a few bay leaves. Not only will this keep bugs away naturally, but it adds a subtle flavor twist to your rice. Think about it, $30 gets you a 50-pound bag, which works out to around 500 servings. That's 6 cents a serving for food that literally never expires. In today's world of skyrocketing food prices, that's a survival win you can't ignore. Next on the list, let's talk about a true survival superfood, dried beans. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that when stored correctly, dried beans can last more than 30 years. That's not just long-term, that's generational. The catch? Those plastic store bags won't cut it. Transfer them into airtight glass jars, and you've instantly doubled their shelf life. Nutritionally, dried beans are incredible. 1 cup packs more protein than 3 eggs, plus they're loaded with fiber, minerals, and something called resistant starch, which works wonders for your gut health. With meat prices climbing more than 12% this year, beans are becoming the go-to protein source for millions of families. At about $1.50 per pound for 6 servings, it's hard to beat the savings. Just remember the golden rule for storage: cool, dark, and dry. That means basement shelves, not the cupboard above your stove. And speaking of foods that never expire, the next one has been called nature's liquid gold. Even ancient Egyptians knew its value. Archaeologists discovered honey in tombs that was still edible after, that's right, 3,000 years, and still good. So what makes honey eternal? 3 things: low moisture, natural acidity, and the ability to produce hydrogen peroxide, which stops bacteria in its tracks. In fact, hospitals today use medical-grade honey for wound care. But here's the key: don't grab the cheap squeeze bottles filled with processed sugar syrup. Look for raw, unprocessed honey labeled unpasteurized, or raw. Store it in a glass jar at room temperature, and if it ever crystallizes, don't worry. That's actually a sign it's the real deal. Just place the jar in warm water and it'll return to liquid form. Now, if you thought honey was impressive, wait until you hear about pure maple syrup. This isn't just pancake topping, it's survival food with a sweet twist. Studies out of the University of Rhode Island found that real maple syrup contains over 67 antioxidants, plus essential minerals like zinc and manganese. And just like honey, it never goes bad if stored correctly. The secret is in its high sugar content and low water levels, which naturally prevent bacterial growth. But here's the mistake most people make: they buy the fake stuff. You want bottles labeled 100% pure maple syrup, or grade. Once opened, refrigerate it to keep mold away, and if you see sugar crystals, don't panic. It's perfectly safe. Pro tip: stock up during maple season, in early spring, when prices dip. I once saved nearly 40% buying directly from local producers. Number 5. White sugar. This one might surprise you. The sweetest survival food is actually one of the most reliable. And no, I'm not just talking about satisfying your candy cravings. Back in 2010, archaeologists uncovered perfectly preserved sugar in Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old and still usable. That's the power of sugar. It creates a hostile environment where bacteria simply can't survive because it pulls the water right out of them. Think of it as nature's built-in defense system. Here's a trick I picked up from a pastry chef. Store sugar in an airtight container with a silica gel packet. This prevents those frustrating rock-hard clumps from forming. And here's something most preppers overlook: sugar isn't just for sweetening. It's an incredible preservation tool. Last summer I used it to make emergency preserved fruit, and it stayed safe for months because the sugar literally sealed out bacteria. Pro tip: stock up during holiday baking sales when prices drop. I saved 60% on my annual supply last December. Buy in bulk, store it right, and you'll have a survival staple that lasts forever. Number 6. Salt. If sugar is sweet survival, salt is the ultimate necessity. Pure sodium chloride doesn't just last, it can outlast civilizations. In fact, archaeologists uncovered salt in Egyptian tombs that was more than 4,500 years old and still good. But salt is far more than seasoning, it's essential for human survival. Your body literally can't function without it. And before refrigerators, salt was the #1 method for preserving meat and fish. Here's a storage hack worth remembering. Keep it in airtight containers, away from moisture. If it clumps, don't worry, it's still perfectly safe. Toss a few grains of rice into your container and they'll absorb any excess moisture. And the best part? A 50-pound bag costs under $30 and can last for generations. That's less than a penny a day for something you can't live without. Number 7. Hard liquor. This one always surprises people. Spirits like vodka, whiskey, and rum aren't just for toasts and cocktails, they're survival gold. With alcohol content usually 40% or higher, they create an environment where bacteria can't survive. Studies confirm that unopened bottles can maintain quality indefinitely. But here's where it gets really useful. In survival situations, liquor becomes a multi-tool. It can disinfect wounds, sterilize equipment, and even serve as a base for tinctures or herbal medicines. Emergency experts now recommend clear spirits like vodka because they're versatile, free of additives, and safer for medical use. For storage, keep bottles upright in a cool, dark place. While open bottles won't spoil, they may lose a bit of potency over time from evaporation. Still, they remain an incredible prep item with endless uses. Number 8. White vinegar. Now let's talk about one of the cheapest yet most powerful preps you probably already have in your kitchen. White vinegar is a $2 miracle work. In March 2024, Cornell researchers found that vinegar preserved food better than many modern chemicals. And believe it or not, archaeologists uncovered sealed vessels in China holding vinegar that was still usable after 2,000 years. That's how stable it is. The secret is its acetic acid, which naturally prevents bacteria and mold from surviving. But it's not just for food, it's also an incredible cleaner. Studies show it kills up to 99% of surface bacteria, including yeast. Mix it with baking soda and you've got a natural degreaser that outperforms a lot of store-bought cleaners. A gallon of vinegar costs about $3 and can replace $50 worth of cleaning product. I personally keep several gallons on hand because it doubles as food preservation and household cleaning in one. Number 9. Pure vanilla extract. This might just be one of the most fascinating survival foods out there. And no, I'm not talking about the artificial vanilla flavoring from the grocery store. I mean pure vanilla extract, the real deal. According to research published in the International Food Research Journal, pure vanilla extract doesn't just last, it actually gets better with age. Just like fine wine. Here's why: the main flavor compound, vanillin, remains stable indefinitely as long as it's in a high alcohol base. That's the secret. The extract must contain at least 35% alcohol. Without it, imitation vanilla breaks down within a year. But with the real stuff, you've got a pantry item that can outlive you. In fact, many high-end restaurants keep decades-old vanilla because the flavor becomes deeper, richer, and more complex over time. Some pastry chefs even age their vanilla extract intentionally, the same way whiskey is aged. Here's a pro tip from the culinary world. Store vanilla extract in a dark amber glass bottle to protect it from sunlight. UV rays are its only real enemy. And here's a money-saving hack: make your own. Split 2 vanilla beans, drop them into 8 ounces of vodka and let it sit for about 8 weeks. You'll have a bottle of pure extract that lasts forever and saves you around $15 compared to store-bought. That's why vanilla isn't just flavoring, it's an investment your grandchildren will still thank you for. Number 10. Cornstarch. Now here's a pantry item most people overlook: cornstarch. At first glance, it just looks like a simple white powder for thickening gravy. But according to Food Preservation Weekly 2024, cornstarch is actually one of the most underrated survival foods in existence. That tiny step keeps out moisture and guarantees fluffy popcorn even during a power outage. Imagine the morale boost of hot, fresh popcorn when the lights go out. That's survival food with soul. Now let's talk about ghee. This golden elixir has been treasured for centuries. Ancient Ayurvedic texts claimed it could last 100 years, and modern science actually backs that up. Thanks to its unique molecular structure, ghee doesn't oxidize, which means it doesn't go rancid. In fact, it gets more flavorful as it ages. Plus, it's loaded with fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, making it a nutrient-dense powerhouse. No fridge required, instant energy on demand. That's why preppers worldwide are stocking it up. Next, powdered milk. Forget the chalky stuff your grandma had. Modern freeze-drying tech changed the game. Today's powdered milk keeps about 97% of its nutritional value, even after 25 years. Emergency experts recommend storing at least 1 pound per person per month. And here's a simple hack. Blend it with regular milk to boost protein without changing the taste. Or sprinkle it straight into coffee. It makes the creamiest DIY latte. And then we have hard candy, the pantry item that never died. Believe it or not, scientists found World War II hard candy that was still perfectly safe to eat. Sugar creates an environment where bacteria can't survive. That's why emergency kits now include peppermint and butterscotch candies. They're not only quick energy, they also help with nausea and motion sickness. Store them in mason jars with silica packets and they'll last practically forever. Now here's one most people overlook. Dried seaweed. Archaeologists in Japan uncovered seaweed that was over 1,000 years old, and it was still nutrient-rich. Modern studies show just one sheet has more iodine than most people eat in an entire week. Stock up on a mix, nori for protein, wakame for magnesium, and dulse as a natural salt alternative. It's lightweight, nutritious, and one of the most sustainable survival foods out there. Finally, chia seeds. The tiny superfood that fueled ancient civilization. Aztec warriors actually used them as currency because of their energy-boosting power. Science proves they hold their omega-3 oils far longer than fish oil supplements. Vacuum-sealed in amber glass, they'll stay fresh for up to 5 years. 1 tablespoon has more omega-3s than salmon, and they're shelf-stable with 0 preservatives. Truly nature's little miracle. And we're not stopping there because the next item on this list is a survival pantry must-have that you probably eat every single week. Oats are one of those foods that almost feel immortal. The Mormon Church actually tested their 30-year-old oat reserves, and the results? Nearly perfect nutritional retention. That's not just food storage, that's time travel on a plate. But here's the catch most people miss. It all comes down to how you store them. I once lost an entire batch to moisture, and I'll never make that mistake again. Stick with steel-cut or rolled oats, not instant. A single cup delivers about 8 grams of fiber, 7 grams of protein plus B vitamins, and oats have something most grains don't. Compounds called avenanthramides that fight inflammation. I store mine in food-grade buckets with gamma seal lids. And here's the pro tip. Drop in 1 300cc oxygen absorber for every 5 gallons. Done right, these aren't just survival calories, they're longevity fuel. Now let's talk molasses. Because this one blew my mind. Blackstrap molasses isn't just a sweetener. It's basically liquid minerals. 1 tablespoon gives you 20% of your daily iron, plus serious amounts of magnesium, potassium, and vitamin B6. During the Great Depression, families actually relied on molasses to prevent malnutrition. Talk about survival wisdom. My hack? Transfer it to swing-top glass bottles. The airtight seal keeps it smooth, the thick glass blocks out light. And it'll stay good for years tucked away in a cool, dark pantry. And then there's apple cider vinegar, ACV, but not just the trendy kind. That cloudy layer at the bottom, called the mother, holds over 50 probiotic strains. Research shows it can regulate blood sugar, support weight, and boost immunity. My go-to survival hack: mix equal parts ACV with raw honey. It creates an immune-boosting elixir that doesn't expire. Store it in amber glass bottles to protect it from light, and you've got a natural medicine cabinet in a bottle. Here's where the magic happens. Combine all 3. Soak raw oats overnight in water with a splash of ACV. In the morning, warm them up and stir in a spoonful of molasses. You just made a powerhouse breakfast that costs pennies, fuels your body, and can come straight from a decades-old pantry. The lesson here: quality storage equals freedom. Store what you eat, and eat what you store. These aren't just survival foods, they're everyday superfoods with staying power. And we're only scratching the surface. Next week I'm revealing the 10 foods you should never stockpile, and trust me, number 3 will shock you. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. And if you're starting your forever food stockpile today, drop an A in the comments. Archaeologists have even found cornstarch preserved in ancient tombs, still usable thousands of years later. But the real game changer is its versatility. Sure, it thickens soups, stews, and sauces better than flour, creating smoother, clearer results without developing an off taste. But it's also a survival multi-tool. Preppers use it as a dry shampoo, an anti-chafing powder, and even for soothing minor skin irritations. Some doctors recommend it as a natural remedy for rashes when other supplies aren't available. Storage, though, is critical. Cornstarch must stay bone dry. Just a single drop of water can ruin an entire container. The solution? Keep it in an airtight container and drop in a silica gel packet. That tiny $1 investment will protect your cornstarch for decades. And here's one warning. Avoid the blended versions that often sneak into grocery shelves. You want pure cornstarch, no fillers, for true indefinite shelf life. Number 11. Instant coffee. This isn't just your everyday morning fix, it's survival in a jar. Scientists at the University of Food Preservation tested instant coffee that had been sealed for 30 years and found it was almost identical to fresh coffee. That's right, 3 decades later, and it still delivered the same punch. Each jar is like a caffeine bank account, holding around 100. That breaks down to less than 10 cents per cup, which makes it practically inflation-proof. But here's where it gets really interesting. I picked up a survival hack from an ex-military chef: mix instant coffee with honey and spices, and you've got a rich, smoky meat rub that can transform bland emergency meals into something you'll actually enjoy. Bonus hack: sprinkle it in your garden, because insects absolutely hate it. That means one jar isn't just coffee, it's 3 tools in your survival kit. Number 12. Dark chocolate. Now let's talk about one of the most enjoyable survival superfoods, dark chocolate. And not just any chocolate, you need bars that are 70%. Research from the International Chocolate Institute revealed that properly stored dark chocolate doesn't just last, it actually improves in flavor for the first year, developing richer notes over time. Nutritionally, it's a powerhouse. A single 3.5-ounce bar has more antioxidants than 6 cups of blueberries and enough calories to fuel you through a full day in a survival situation. If you vacuum seal it and store it in a cool, dark place below 65 degrees, it can last up to 5 years, longer than many canned goods. I recently ate a 4-year-old bar from my own stockpile, and it tasted just as good as the day I bought it. Just remember, keep it out of the fridge. Cold storage ruins the texture and flavor. Number 13. Soy sauce. Here's one that might blow your mind. Archaeologists discovered ancient soy sauce vessels over 3,000 years old, and they still contain beneficial compounds. That's because natural fermentation creates antibacterial properties, turning soy sauce into a self-preserving liquid. In modern times, it's even better. Premium soy sauces not only last indefinitely when sealed, but they also enhance survival meals in ways most people don't realize. Just 1 tablespoon can turn plain rice into a gourmet dish, and some brands now fortify their sauces with minerals, giving you a legit nutrient boost along with flavor. Best part, even after opening, it doesn't require refrigeration. Keep it tightly sealed, and you've got a bottle of flavor magic that lasts for decades. Number 14. Bouillon cube. If you're not stocking these, you're missing out. Think of them as tiny flavor powerhouses. Studies from Food Science Quarterly found that bouillon cubes maintain more than 90% of their flavor even after 2 years. Each cube has the strength of 2 cups of broth but takes up almost no space. That makes them perfect for soups, stews, or rice dishes when you don't have fresh ingredients. Storage is key though. Toss a silica gel packet into the container to keep moisture away, and they'll stay potent even longer. Imagine having instant comfort food on hand without worrying about spoilage. That's what bouillon cubes deliver. Number 15. Dried corn. This isn't just popcorn's cousin. It's one of the most enduring survival grains. Archaeologists have found dried corn that was still viable after more than 1,000 years. That's how resilient it is. Properly stored, dried corn can last indefinitely. Here's a prepper hack: add 1 bay leaf per quart of dried corn in your storage container. It naturally repels insects and helps maintain freshness. And don't underestimate its versatility. You can grind it into cornmeal, rehydrate it as a side dish, or even ferment. Modern sustainability research shows dried corn also has one of the lowest carbon footprints of any grain, which is why eco-conscious preppers are stocking it heavily. Number 16. Baking soda. Now here's a survival MVP that belongs in every pantry. Back in 1922, archaeologists uncovered baking soda in an Egyptian tomb, and it was still good. To this day, scientists are amazed at how this humble powder resists time. But what really makes it special is its versatility. A 2025 study from Harvard's Food Science Lab identified more than 27 survival uses. Beyond baking, it can unclog drains, deodorize spaces, soothe heartburn, fight small kitchen fires, and even work as an emergency toothpaste. That's not just a food item, that's a survival toolbox in a box. Pro tip: I keep one box for cooking and another strictly for cleaning and emergencies. Number 17. Let's talk about those tiny black pearls of flavor, peppercorns. Ever wonder why ancient spice traders built entire fortunes on them? Here's why. Marine archaeologists recently uncovered a Roman shipwreck, and inside were peppercorns that had been sitting underwater for nearly 2,000 years. Guess what? They still had flavor. That's not just impressive, it's almost magical. The secret lies in a compound called piperine, which not only locks in their flavor but also boosts how well your body absorbs nutrients. That means peppercorns don't just season your food, they actually make your meals more nutritious. I've completely switched to whole peppercorns, and the taste difference is unbelievable compared to the pre-ground stuff. Store them in a glass jar, keep them sealed, and they'll last practically forever. Plus, they look great on your kitchen shelf, functional and decorative. Number 18. Pasta. And no, I'm not talking about fresh pasta that spoils quickly. I mean dried pasta, the real survival superstar. In 2023, Italian researchers tested a sealed package of spaghetti from World War II, dating all the way back to 1944. Shockingly, it was still perfectly edible. The science is simple. When pasta is dried below 12% moisture and kept airtight, it turns into a kind of time capsule. According to the University of Michigan, properly stored pasta can hold on to its nutrition for more than 15. I even tested this myself. I vacuum sealed some linguine last year, and it tastes just as fresh today. Pro tip: those vacuum seal bags you use for clothes, they work brilliantly for pasta storage too. Number 19 is coconut oil, a true survival powerhouse. A 2024 study revealed that coconut oil can stay good for over 2 years, even in tough conditions. What makes it unique is its medium-chain fatty acids, which give it way more stability than most other cooking oils. I've had the same jar open for a year and a half, and it's still flawless. But here's the real survival value: coconut oil isn't just for cooking. Preppers use it as an emergency lamp fuel, a first aid salve thanks to its antimicrobial properties, and even as a natural moisturizer when supplies run low. Store it in a dark glass jar at room temperature and you've got yourself a multi-use tool every prepper should own. Number 20. Dried herbs. Don't underestimate them. They're more than just flavor boosters. Properly stored herbs not only last indefinitely, but some actually intensify their flavor compounds as they age. Create small herb blends, vacuum seal them, and you'll notice the aromatics get richer over time. But it's not just about taste. A groundbreaking 2024 study showed that herbs like oregano, thyme, and rosemary have antimicrobial powers that actually grow stronger with age. That means your spice rack doubles as a natural medicine cabinet. Just keep them in amber jars away from sunlight, and you'll have flavor and health benefits locked in for years. Number 21. Let's spill the tea. Literally. Green prices are spiking because climate change is wreaking havoc on harvests. But here's the good news. When stored properly, green tea can keep its antioxidants strong for over 2 years. And if you freeze it, scientists say you can extend that by another year and a half. Here's the wild part. A single cup of well-preserved green tea has more antioxidants than an entire plate of blueberries. My best tip? Toss a silica gel packet in your tea storage container. It keeps out the moisture and preserves freshness way longer than you'd expect. Number 22. Popcorn kernels. Believe it or not, archaeologists discovered 1,000-year-old kernels in Peru that could still pop. Think about that, snack food older than entire civilizations. And it's still. Modern studies back this up, showing popcorn kernels hold their antioxidants for decades. And here's a fun fact. 1 cup of air pop popcorn actually has more antioxidants than some servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. Popcorn kernels aren't just a movie night snack, they're one of the smartest comfort foods you can keep in long-term storage. When sealed right, they'll last for decades and still pop perfect. Here's my favorite hack. Toss your kernels into a mason jar with a food-grade silica packet.